Okay, so let's do a quick live stream. I put out a post asking, would you like me to break down some character designs? Just a quick stream. I'm only going to do one drawing for my YouTube people. Got a couple of suggestions here. Some nice Disney ones that tempted me, but to be fair, because that's my preferred style and I like to draw Disney stuff, I'm going to take one of these anime suggestions and I'm going to make a thank you, Life Fantasy. How are you doing, Dip Doodler? I'm going to be doing this one, Mary from Mary and the Witch's Flower by Soa S. So let's break that down for you all. Let me open my Google image search and I have found an image. I like the design. I find it quite appealing, so let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to let's give myself a brush size of 10. We'll undo that. Right, so I am going to give you a character breakdown of the things I see. So you're going to watch me draw it, and then I'm going to give you a little kind of breakdown about what I see when I draw, using my term, the secret science of shape simplification. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm just taking down the main thing to take away. When you're doing animation, I always knew this, but as I've been instructing and doing real animator training, it's not just been beneficial to the people learning from me, it's been beneficial to me forwarding my own skills, because by you become better when you start teaching, because you start looking at things in a more analytical way in order to explain it. And silhouettes were always very important in animation, but I think for me, before I do anything, I like to look at the silhouette to see what is the pose, what am I reading from the pose. Even if it's just the character's head, we want the silhouette to basically talk to us. Now, this is a very counterintuitive to a lot of people who like to just paint and do one-off illustrations and all that kind of thing, but I'm telling you that this way, I did it all. I'll show you the construction way. I'll show you what I see. Construction is very babyish. It's very easy. It's very simple, and people tend to use it as a crutch. And I used to use it as a crutch. I used to use it as the only way. And then after I started studying Milt Kahl and realizing just how important silhouette was, I now approach everything via silhouette because I just think it just elevates your work to a new standard. And I'll show you, don't worry, for those of you who want to know about construction, I'll show you where construction and all that kind of thing comes into play. So I'm going to make just an eyeball kind of illustration from what I'm seeing here, and I'm going to try and minimize my use of eraser or resizing or any of that stuff, because I want to illustrate to you just how important it is and just how powerful it is to be able to see things in silhouette and to be able to understand things in their silhouette way. And for those of you who have artist block and don't know what you're drawing, you can ask me about the software. I'll give you my shame on spiel. Look, you could do this in a sketchpad, what I'm doing here. You don't need, just Google image search something and train your hand-eye coordination by studying by doing this. And then I've called this a character breakdown, so then I'll talk to you about the character's construction afterwards, because I can analyze that. I've got the ability to see that in there. Right, so now I'm going to map out the face, and many of you know how I see faces, but I'm not going to currently talk about that just yet at this stage, because we're going to make the drawing and then we're going to break the illusion of the drawing. And so you're going to watch me make this drawing that I've never seen this character before in my life. I have to say, I recall seeing a trailer for this movie once, and I thought it looked very intriguing. It looks like a lovely movie, actually. It's on my list of movies to see. I haven't actually seen this movie, but it looks very much like the kind of movie that I like. From Japan, the Studio Ghibli kind of stuff. I know it's not Studio Ghibli, but it looks very much like it. So I have made this rough image here, and I'm just gonna put it in gray and start drawing on top of it, and then after that I'll tell you about how I made this drawing so effortlessly and how I could see things in there. So I'm gonna start with the eye over here. Now the eye is, I'm gonna be quick with my lines, so I don't want this stream to go on for too long. So the eye is just a C shape, up C shape like that, and we have this resting on the eye line. We have, now this is all in white, so I'm just putting thin line there, and we have this kind of shape. The inside is the iris, and then we have the light, and then the pupil, which kind of sits at the top of the iris like that. Interesting, because she's looking down this way, but we have all that space underneath. So I guess I'm making an observation about anime here that that I perhaps wouldn't have noticed before. And now I'm going to put the eye lash on top. So again, it's pretty much the same deal on the other side. So we have this hair like this, and we just have these two kind of eyelash things on here to emphasize that. So then we have, you see, I'll explain the construction later so you really kind of understand this, but some of you will know about an eye line, and then we kind of bring it in on the eye line. So the eye shape is slightly different on this side to give the illusion of perspective, okay? But so I'm just going to be a little slower on the face and on the eyes, really. Because the eyes are the mirror to the soul, so we want that, and then we're going to have this around here like this. Now we're going to focus on the eyebrows. So very similar to whether it's anime or whether it's Disney. What is an eyebrow? It simply is if you know about the skull, we have this bone called the frontal bone, and the top part of the frontal bone makes up the orbit of the eye, which is the eye cavity, and the eye cavity is made up of the cheekbone, the maxilla, which is the frontal mouth bone, I guess, upper jawbone, and then obviously the frontal bone. So the eye, if she had eye sockets, again, I'll save that for when we start demystifying. Now, I don't normally shade, but part of the appeal of anime is they design in order to be shaded. So we have this little shape here, which is going to be shadow, and we have little shapes on top of the eye lashes, which are going to be shadow. So her nose is essentially just two little things like that, but they make the nose out of this kind of shape. Now, anime mouths, I've always felt were the one sad failing in the design style for me, because everything else is so beautiful and accurate in terms of anatomy, but the mouths are always a bit of an afterthought. I mean, that's just the way they animate, I guess, in that country. They don't tend to record the dialogue first, and then so they just don't really put much thought into the mouth and the anatomy and the jaw, so we just have a little kind of blob shape like that. Right, so now the last thing that I'm going to really spend a little bit of time on before I sort of speed up on the easier kind of, the not necessarily easier, but the more stuff where my line can be even more careless than what it is now, is the ear. So we see the ear is always in line with the bottom of the nose and the top of the eye and all that stuff there. So now that's sorted out, now we're going to talk about the things that make this character. So this character's got this, I guess it kind of reminds me a bit of Tetsuo in Akira, this sort of bigger upper forehead, upper cranium, and smaller very rounded shapes. So this kind of coming around here like this. I really need to rotate that, so I didn't really want to use the undo tool, but my line has kind of just gone in there and been just too shabby, so I'm just going to do that. So yeah, there we go. Right, so I didn't want to rotate the drawing, but it's just I'm trying to be fast. So right, so now we've done that. So we've got this bulbous head. So from the bulbous head, we have a huge distance from the upper into the top here, where we're going to start seeing shape. So we've got one shape here, so this triangle like this, and this here like this. So we have this here, and then coming on the other side, we have these shapes coming here. At the moment, it just looks like I'm just drawing like anyone else would draw, okay? But this is the point I'm making of this video. I'm just kind of, it looks like I'm just eyeballing and I'm just making, which I kind of am, using a bit of hand-eye coordination, but you will see, and you know, that's why, you know, with the exception of that rushed chin line, I'm gonna really avoid using any eraser or any resizing. So you will see how the secret science of shape simplification and a real mastery of character construction will enable you to be able to just strengthen your ability in drawing in general. So nothing is, you know, whether it's a cartoon or whether you're doing a still life or something like that, it's not a problem. You can pretty much draw whatever you want. What I call real animators, okay, or true sort of animation from the Disney hand-drawn stable, perhaps even the Miyazaki or high-end anime stable like the Akiras and the Ghost in the Shells, perhaps even those guys, I believe that they are amongst the strongest draftsmen in the world. They can pretty much draw whatever they want effortlessly. It's not a big deal like so many people think, perhaps because they're cartoons, that somehow these drawings are easier to do. But I was telling my daughter yesterday, whose piano teacher does sketching and shading and photorealistic pencil drawings, I was telling her, I can understand you're young, you think those kind of things are impressive and somehow more impressive than animated characters or cartoons, but I'm telling you now that, you know, that's why he's a piano teacher and not a professional artist. That's, to me, entry-level stuff, to be able to just make copies and copy things and do things like that. It's not much of a skill. It's the most basic requirement for a true animation professional to be a master draftsman. So one of the things that is very important about animation drawing is to be able to be a master draftsman. You see, I've pretty much recreated this head perfectly without any effort at all there. So and I'm going to show you the formula as to how it happens. So now we have the collar, which comes in and sits here like this on this side, and this line will come here, and over on here we have this side here. So you can see here, well, I'm rather than doing it the way that I used to do it on some AskAMB streams, okay, I'm now doing it in reverse engineering. I think the way to mix things up a bit is to reverse engineer, because sometimes when I'm on a live stream, I do things super quick, and when I'm doing things super quick, I don't like to. The way I'm drawing now is not necessarily my preferred drawing style, but it's you know, I'm doing this. Some of you know I love to scribble. Okay, Glenn Keane loves to scribble, and I always say that it's great to scribble because there's no prizes to be done, and it's faster, and you get what you want quicker. You just search for your lines and you put it there. Now, some people out there try to say that that's, you know, you're masking your inability to draw by doing that. You know, you need to be more definite with your strokes. Some of these fine artsy people or these hoity-toity people on their high horses. Well, I'm here for you here and now, showing you that I can do it super clean if I want. With my first few strokes being super accurate. It's not difficult once you understand anatomy and construction. There's no, you know, these people try to make it out as if it's some sort of super ability, that you're somehow, you know, you're a real artist if you can draw like that. Now these hands, I always feel that anime hands are a little weak, to be honest with you. Um, so I'm copying the hand as I see it, and it's not a very good hand, to be honest with you. It's a shame. The drawing was a lovely drawing, but the hand, see, look at that. Okay, this is exactly what I'm seeing here, so I'm not going to change it, but that's the hand. Lacking in anatomy, lacking in information. But anyway, we'll continue. So she's got this rucksack thing that comes along here like this. So they like to talk about how that's a very skillful way of drawing. To me, it's a party trick. So what you see me doing here, it's a nice way to, it's a good way to test your hand-eye. I guess it's like doing pull-ups and push-ups, strict form pull-ups and strict form push-ups. You know, some people like to do push-ups fast, and the benefit is a little less than doing them slow. So that you'll get all these people going, oh, you should do it really slow, and you know, 25 slow press-ups are worth about 100 fast, or whatever. There's some truth to that, but really the difference is not that much. You can still be super fit by doing quick, fast press-ups. I've been there, I've done it. I'll do it fast, I'll do it slow. Depends what mood I'm in. So the point is, it's the same with drawing. Like, this really does help your hand-eye coordination to draw. Now this hand is a little bit, I don't like what's going on here. Okay, but like, so this is what the artist has done. I originally looked at the drawing and said, what a lovely, appealing drawing, but as I'm breaking it down, I can see some weaknesses here. So never mind. I don't quite understand why this shape is like this, but okay, that shape is like that. We'll leave it like that. Okay, I wouldn't have done it like that, but there you go. But anyway, so there's this business of being definite and making accurate strokes, like what I've done here, is it's a good skill to have, but I think it's a party trick, really. So she's got some power or some magic coming up from here. I don't quite know what that is, but like, so it's kind of like a little sort of party trick. And what I'm going to do, just to put in some, let me just delete that light under drawing. So there we have it. That's our witch's flower character, and I'll deconstruct it. But what I'll do, just because it's important part of the whole anime thing, is I will put a little bit of the shading in there, because some of these characters really need the shading to bring them about. So we have, obviously we talked about the shading here and here, and I will use a darker one for the eyebrows, because the eyebrows need to be kind of darkened in like that. And then I will get a lighter one and talk about this. So one thing that really I love about Japanese animation, and I guess it's why a lot of people, some people think that good drawing is good animation. Now Japanese animation is, for me, a lot of it has got really, really nice, not only strong, but really, really appealing, strong drawings. And one of the things they really know how to do, which I absolutely love, okay, is they really know how to make shapes out of shadow and tone. So what I'm doing here is I'm making a quick reference of those things. Okay, unfortunately, let me turn that off. What have I missed? Okay, I've missed that there. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to, obviously, I'm just going to have to like do this lightly so I know what's in shadow, and then I'll try and use the fill tool to fill it all in. Okay, so they absolutely love doing these light and shade things, which I think it's worth doing on there, because that's part and parcel of the appeal of the image. So all of this is now in shadow, so I'm going to keep all of this in shadow, and then we have this coming down here like this on this side, like that. Okay, so now I'm going to turn that off and see if I can get away with doing some of this. Obviously not. This is now, some of you might understand why I don't like using why I don't like coloring in these animation programs, because it's sometimes just easier to just do it with your hand like that, you know. Okay, there we go. That's what I was going for. So you see how the effect goes. It's really, really nice. So then here we've got a shadow line coming here like that, and then virtually whole of this upper hair is in absolute shadow, so I'll just create an outline of that like this. So what I'm doing is I'm essentially just making a pretty picture for you, okay, from making a very relatively, I mean, what I've done, I've made virtually zero. There are a few inaccuracies, but I've made virtually zero errors here, and you're gonna see exactly how I was able to do that using the science of shape simplification. But what I'm just loving doing, because so you need to see just how much of the drawing is made up by these shadows, okay. So I'm just working in these shadows on purpose. So the shadow for me, because of using the software to fill tool, is taking as long as the drawing, okay. So you can see that the shadow is taking as long as the drawing, because I want to fill it and it's not filling. Where did I leave the opening? Okay, there's an opening being left somewhere. So yeah, I mean, these programs like to talk about leaving things in the there's some options that you can have to close your lines, but they never really work. I've got it set on that and it's not happening. So if anything, there you go. But still, the software is speeding up the process, I guess. But you know, you could color in all of this with your marker pens or whatever if you wanted to. You don't need software. So if somebody's coming in saying what software, look, I have taken the default vector brush, okay, vector brush. I'm not drawing in bitmap, and I'm just making a quick study of this character that I see before me, okay, which is like this. Okay, one thing I have missed out is her little rosy cheeks, so I'm going to put them because they're instrumental part of the actual character design. So let's go in there and let's put it back to a 10, and let's go and put in a rosy cheek. So let's put it in just really light like that, and really light like that. Okay, so one more little bit of shadow that I almost missed. Is that the right brush? No, it isn't. That one, yeah. So then what we want is we want these things, okay, just these things. So these things make the complexity in the character, the creases and the folds in the jacket. So there we go. That is how are we doing for time? So that is the breakdown of the witches, flower, character. Japanese animation are more challenging. No way, Milk Tea. No way. Japanese animation is some of the most limited, easiest animation to do. And that's why I'm here on Real Animator Training. I'm here to educate the young, because I know a lot of young are into it. There's nothing wrong. You like your anime, you do your anime. But I'm here to teach people real skills about how to be good at hand-drawn animation. And I'm here to just set the record straight. Japanese animation is not even close to the standard of hand-drawn Disney. Not even close. You can like it, but it's not even close. It doesn't move. It doesn't do anything at all like that. The shadow animation is part of the effects thing. So right, so let's you look at a lot of moving perspective, fast moving stuff. That's the easy stuff in animation. It's the slow controlled stuff that's difficult, okay? The fast moving stuff is super easy because your eye hasn't got time to analyze it and judge it. Okay, right, anyway, away from the chat, because we're not here. I'm not here to chat so much. I'm here to talk about how I break this character down. So let me put a new vector layer on top, and let me get a super fat, maybe let's highlight it in red. So let me tell you what I saw. and why this was so easy. I think you'll agree, okay? You just saw me make this drawing with no eraser, no transforming, no messing around, nothing. I just made the drawing as if I was tracing something. But no, that's how accurate my eyes are. That's how precise I am. The only one time I undid something is because I was rushing the chin and I made a scribbly line. Otherwise, that's it. Okay? Now I'm going to show you how it was so easy for me. I focused on the silhouette and everything, but for people who perhaps don't have the ability, let me talk to you about shape simplification here. Let me talk to you about, okay, the round skull. I'm going to change the opacity of this, my image. So change, let me just merge these two layers, merge selected layers, change layer opacity. Let's change that to 50 so you can see my what I drew on top. Let's change it again. Change layer opacity. Let's put it to 25. Okay. Now you're going to be able to see what I did and why it was so easy for me to do that. Okay. So obviously when we do the heads, okay, we understand that, you know, you can see it right here. Okay. There's a round sphere representing the skull. Okay. Now I obviously, when I make my spheres, I end my spheres on the maxilla portion. So I look at where the eye line is. The eye line is, if this was divided into thirds, the eye line is almost, it's a little bit more, 2/3 of the way down. So she's obviously got this big bulbous head, okay, coming like this. So that's what I saw, okay. Now I know if I was to go like this, okay, and this, and this, and this, I know that the face is going to sit in there. And I'll tell you exactly, I've said it many times, okay, that this is where the eyes are going to be, because they're going to be one eye. You've got a middle eye, which is your inner, the distance between your eyes. It's going to change. Sometimes it'll be 2 eye widths, sometimes it'll be 1 eye width, okay. Now in here is where the bridge of the nose, anatomy wise, is. So the nose is going to sit in the middle somewhere here. It could be high. She's got a high nose up here like this. So the nose is just going to be this little shape here, which is what she has, okay, sitting in there. Now the bottom of this is going to be the top of the maxilla, okay. Now I've given you this demonstration many times. When we look at a skull, okay, when we look at the top portion of the skull, I like to break it like that, okay. So I like to talk about how the eye orbits are here, the nasal bridge sits here, okay, the nasal bone. This is the top of the frontal bone here, okay. Now along the side we have the zygomatic bones, okay, and then here, this thing here, along here will be the zygomatic arch and the temporal bone, which will sit at the side, and the mastoid process, and then the parietal bone, which will join here, okay. So then along here will be the nasal cavity, and then what'll make up this will be your maxilla, okay, which comes here, and then you have all your incisors, okay, your 4 incisors, your 2 canines, your 6 premolars, your 4 premolars, and your 6 molars, okay. So then what you have is basically you have the upper, okay. So this hair, why I end the sphere there, that represents the upper, okay. Then the lower, which is inserting here, is your mandible, comes out here on this side, okay, along here like this, okay, should be more like that, okay, represents the lower portion of the skull, right, which comes from the mastoid process, which is behind the ear, and your zygomatic arch, which is your temporal bone. So her temporal bone is there. So bingo, look what we have. We have the mastoid process and this representing our angle of the mandible. So we can very easily make out, okay, where the lower portion is. And then judging by her cheek shapes, she has got, okay, low cheeks. So the cheek is, they've got it hanging off there. So that's how I was able to very easily and accurately see that with the X-ray eyes that Real Animator real animators have, they have those X-ray eyes. So yes, this is cheat anatomy here, but it all kind of adds up. Then what happens is when we have the temporal bone, which comes at the side here, that often, okay, is around here like this, and it comes over here like this, okay, and then the zygomatic bone comes here, and then you have this, and then coming around here like this. Then you have a sphenoid bone in the middle and all there, so then your nasal bone. So then your parietal bone sits around here, and your occipital bone. So why? Look at the shape of the hair. So if a guy's hairstyle, his ear is going to be hair, right? And then the hair often has this kind of shape, okay? Coming here like this. So it's very easy to find your hairline if you understand the temple bone, okay? Because the temple bone, again, is just going to be around here, so we can see this, and this. And what they've done is they've just put in another little line there to hide it like this. And then it's going to come up here like this. So I can see that. I can understand that when I'm making this drawing. I can see very easily that stuff. Okay, I'll talk about the hair when we come past here. The ear is obviously, they've gone for convention in line with the top of the eye and the bottom of the nose. So this is just a little shape in there. Okay, now when it comes to the, they've obviously got clothing. I'm not going to talk about how clothing fits on top of anatomy because it's best as a beginner you understand the anatomy. So we can break this down into this kind of shape, okay? But then again, there's going to be a middle line, and I'm going to immediately understand that she's got a neck, okay, and a clavicle. Okay, now how am I finding that clavicle and that neck? Well, the neck, I'm giving you before, the neck can be broken into triangles, okay? You've got your anterior triangle and your posterior triangle, okay? And the two are separated by these big muscle called the sternocleidomastoid. It's called the sternocleidomastoid because it connects from your sternum to your mastoid process in your skull, like that, okay? And at the back you have your trapezius, okay? And in here you have all your various omnihyoids and hyoid muscles or whatever that come in there, which I'm not going to talk about. But again, if we understand our triangles, okay, we'll figure those out. But I'm not going to get into anatomy muscles at the moment here, right? So what I am getting at is we got the triangles of these triangles of the neck, okay? You got your muscular triangle of the anterior portion, which is basically all your swallowing muscles, and then these are your back muscles. And then what happens is your sternum is hair, and you have this simple triangle hair. So you could have a square hair, and you could have a straight line hair, and you connect it all by triangles in this midline, and that is where we're going to find our clavicle, which is what I have here, okay? So this is very, very simple stuff, easy. Once you understand that stuff, you can find it very, very easily. Then, okay, we need to figure out, well, all right, we've got our clavicle. What about our, notice I'm focusing on bones more than muscles, because we don't see the muscles, we see these shapes of these clothings and things. So the bones are always more important. Muscles are very important, but if somebody held me at gunpoint and says say one or I'll blow you away, I'll just say bones in a heartbeat, okay? So then we have obviously the scapula connects to the back with triangles there. We can talk about the pectoralis muscles and all that, but I'm just talking about the bones. So the scapula is there, and the humeral head will be here. So obviously if the humeral head is there, we know that our humerus bone is going to be here like this. Okay, and obviously they're shaping it like that, around there like that. And then the ulnar bone is going to come at the bottom, which is going to be shaping that. So I could talk about all the different muscles that I see, but no, I'm looking for the bones because I know that she's got these shapes coming on top, okay? She's got these shapes that I'm going to talk about coming on top. Now the hands, as I said, these hands are very, very weak, but hands can be very easily figured out. Doesn't matter which hand you're doing, just by understanding the rule of the square, okay, and then the triangular or arc pattern that's going to happen in between. So when I look at a hand like that, I've just drawn it better than they've drawn it, okay, but like I'll immediately think about, okay, Well, there's gonna be some. If she's opening her hand, I've got many options to go. You could just splay the fingers haphazardly on this arc like this, or you could say, okay, well, which they've done here, I'm gonna think about this one and this in relation to this one, and then maybe bunch these two together just a bit, okay, and then have the other one coming wide out there like that. And that's how you start seeing the shapes in there. And if you understand, okay, if you understand that the actual carpal bones are here, okay, which are here like this, and then you understand how the metacarpals all connect, okay, and how the phalanges are made up, you can then elaborate on that hand and go and take that hand in any direction you want. So I can start, you know, putting in other bends or things like that if I wanted to, or you could just make one bend. The Disney people tend to like to divide it in two because it's simple, and you just think about triangles against squares, okay, then maybe the other one will maybe come out like this. So you always think, and then you think about the knuckle. See, the knuckle shape can make something come here like this. So you think about that. Now, I always like to have more structure to my hands. So when it came to these big sort of round balloons that I just referred to, I was very disappointed in the way the artist drew those hands. I thought they were weak. But anyway, so you have the hands over there like that. So then over here, obviously, I can see the humeral head. And again, I didn't understand his choice for, obviously, he's cheating the dimensions. So it works. It's a nice drawing in that regard. But again, I think his foreshortening of the hands, I understood what he was doing because he's looking at the shape in a whole. Because one of the things you see that makes this drawing nice is you need to also think about how the shapes relate, okay? So the hands are almost bunched together in one shape. So if I turn that off and you look at it, they're almost bunched together in one shape like that. So it looks really, really nice when you look at it together. So that's why I was talking about silhouette. Sometimes we forsake whether the drawing's working or not and look at silhouette. So that's how that particularly worked in there. So I could pretend to you and give you some fake spiel that, okay, I'm going to get a blue here. The pectoralis major is here, and the coming to the deltoid, sorry, is here, and the pectoralis major sits under, and then here would be the bicep, and the brachialis and the brachioradialis curling around here, and the palmar, palmaris longus and flexor ulnaris and all those things will be coming here, and the tricep will be coming there, and this will be the latissimus and the serratus anterior. And I could give you all that spiel and lie to you that I utilized all of that, but I didn't, okay? I just utilized the bones, right? I just utilized the bones. I'll tell you why. Because once we have the bones, okay, and we know where the bones are, so I'm going to move that. Okay, once we have the bones and we know where the bones are, we then start thinking, okay, well, on top of the bones, let me actually bring that back and talk about, because I'm going to change the color. So let's make that yellow momentarily so you can see what I'm talking about. On top of the bones, I'm now going to think about shapes. So I'm going to think about, okay, we've got a square here. I see a square, and then coming from the humeral head, I see a triangle. Okay, where they've put the crease, okay? And then again, we're gonna break this down into squares again, but then coming from the bend of where the ulna bone connects with the humerus, okay, we're going to put another triangle there. So you see how the anatomy, so this shape is constant and it exists the way this shape comes around here like that. So if I show you that, okay, so this is a square and this is a square like this. So you see there's nothing hidden in there, but these triangles give it definition and make the drapery look interesting. So if you understand that and you look at that, okay, it's very, very easy for you to figure out how to draw. So similarly, again here, I'm saying, okay, well, he's got one big square on this side, and obviously it's coming out like a triangle where we're going to frame everything in there, including the hand, okay? So the hand is going to sit in there as well. So obviously he's rounding it off and hiding it nicely, but it's all in there, okay? Everything. So the hoodie is just a triangle. You see the middle line, the midline, okay? So the hoodie meets at the triangle at the midline, and we just give the illusion that it's coming back, and we have it coming this way into the ear, but what we do is we step it to create another one, and we just have them all meet at the triangle like that, okay? That's what makes it, that's what takes away. Okay, let's turn that off. That's what I'm seeing when I'm drawing. I'm not seeing, you watch me draw it so effortlessly and so perfectly, and you're thinking, wow, what nice drawing. But my subconscious eye is seeing all of this stuff. Okay, you're just seeing the finished process, that I don't have to make these marks anymore like a crutch, and I can just go about and do them regardless. Now let's talk a little bit about the hair. Okay, so we have this middle line of the face that we talked about. So obviously the hair is going to meet there on either side. So I know that they're going to have a triangle there to separate the two like this. Okay, so I basically see this kind of triangle shape, and then I know, okay, well, the hair is going this way, the middle line of the skull is going this way, so we're going to make the hair stand off it. Okay, so if you have your skull, if you look at a profile of a skull, it's going this way, right? So some of the things that make it hair interesting is you stand it off the other way. Okay, so we're going to stand the hair off the other way to give it this illusion like that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to break it up and then just break up our little patterns inside there. So I look for the patterns of the breakup, but this is what I see. Okay, that's what I see. So that comes around here, and then obviously we've got a triangle on the head here, and we just make our breakup based on that triangle. So if you look, okay, you can see that that's just a triangle, and the breakup is within the framing of that triangle. So those are the secret science of shape simplification all coming in place. Now these things, you can do it in many ways. You can bunch it up like this, and then bunch it up like that, and then have a third one, and then go, okay, well, I'm just going to look at the breakup, which is the way a lot of artists would do it. Okay, but then when you're doing something like that, you're going to want to think about what it is happening on the other side. How does it relate? So you don't want to put it on this side. You're going to see, because of perspective, that it's going to be behind, but you're going to use the same formula. You're going to say, okay, well, there's probably one bunch there, and one bunch there, like that, which we can then start breaking up as per the way the artist has decided his particular choices. So you just eyeball and refer to that. So that is effectively the deconstruction of how I was able to make this image, very simply. So let's just put the opacity back on this to 100 so you can see. So this drawing we made from a Google image search. Somebody requested it. I believe it was Soas requested Mary from Mary and the Witch's Flower, and yeah, so you watch me make that drawing, and then explain to you the things that you see. So if you want to work on your drawing, my suggestion to each and every one of you is to understand shapes, become masters of shapes. That's how you're going to become good at what you do. And do not hide behind the word style. Style is basically, you only, I like to use the word style metaphorically. You only have style when you have no style. Okay, you only have style when you have no style, because if you understand everything that you need to understand, then you can adapt and do whatever you want, and then you can basically emulate other styles, understand other styles, and then make your own style. Okay, so that's my video for you. I just thought I'd come online. Somebody requested this. We're going to start doing this now as I start moving back into real animator training and making the lectures for the real animators. One thing I noticed as I was looking at one of my previous YouTube streams is I just got less than 1,000 views, and it was an Ask the Animator stream. So I just realized that yeah, the real animator training stuff is not really for YouTube. So we're going to be starting the real animator training lectures again soon with the Peacock Run and all that. You're going to have to join the library to see those. You're going to have to join the library to learn for real and train for real and make it real. Other than that, the YouTubers seem to just like controversy, like the Lion King stream, and the or they like fan stuff, like worshipping and paying tribute to Richard Williams. So I guess if I'm making content for YouTube, I'm gonna make content like this. Yep, you just tell me what character you'd like me to break down. And I will break it down for you, and no doubt the people who will get value from it will get value from it, and the people who are just die-hard anime fans will talk about how they're so professional and how they would do it like this and that, and then go back to their day jobs. Okay, right. So that is the stream. Those of you who are interested in learning animation from me, please do consider going to ambanimation.com, where I have my Real Animator Training Library. If we enter that Real Animator Training Library, you can see that we have 247 videos in there, and we are going to be adding more. We have got 7 archives. We have got the intermediate animation, the basics animation, the intermediate animation, the advanced animation, anatomy for the animator, the complete human skeleton. We are going to be adding to this, and once the muscle library is complete, just bear in mind that the value of this place is going to be even more so that means the price is going to go up. So you've got until the muscle archive, which I'm going to be starting soon, is complete if you want to get it at its current price. Okay, so that is AMB Animation. Go check it out. Go check out Real Animator Training. If you're a real animator, that's the place for you. And I will see you all on another stream. Don't worry, I will still hang around for chats on other live streams, but I've live streamed a fair number of times this week, so I'll see you on the chat some other times. Maybe I'll do some chat streams where you all see my ugly face and we chat and we have fun then. Okay then, people, see you later. Bye-bye. Thanks a lot.